Thanks a lot, Tom. Big time pleasure and honor to come on the Cowboys Report to talk Dallas Cowboys Monday Night Football. See what the sportsbooks BetDSI thinks about the Cowboys taking on the Titans, and also look at the Cowboys odds long-term NFC East, NFC Championship. And I am joined by Brent Korbotic from BetDSI. He heads up risk management for our online sportsbook partner, BetDSI. Go ahead and check them out, chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code Cowboys120, 120% deposit bonus. The absolute best in the business, where we make all our bets here at Chat Sports. Brent, thanks for coming on the show today. Want to talk Monday Night Football. The Cowboys are hosting the Tennessee Titans. The Cowboys are 6-point favorites. Over-under of only 41. To be frank, this was one of the more surprising lines I saw all week when I took a glance at the lines. Why are the Cowboys such big favorites in this game?
Yeah, I think if you look at this game, it is. We did open 6. I saw some places in the market actually open a little bit higher. They were 6.5 out there. The line has dipped down to 5.5, and so far, actually, all we've pretty much got involved is public money. I don't have much sharp money involved in this game, and it's kind of thought that I got the feeling that Dallas, the way they've kind of looked lately, probably be getting some sharp money. I know they lost last week, but the home and road splits with Dallas are really so extreme. I think that's a real big factor. That is kind of a general consideration in the NFL. That obviously the field is worth quite a bit. But you look at the Cowboys, and you look at them overall. I mean, they're 3-0 at home. I believe they're 0-4 on the road. I mean, that's their whole season right there. Could have got a win or two on the road. Things would be different in the division picture. But I think Dallas, is a superior team here. I think 5.5 is even a bit low. I think it might tip back up to 6 where it was. Now, again, my wagers count that I've seen so far, Publix has been betting a whole lot of money on Tennessee. I've got a count almost 4-1 from the Titans, which I kind of thought was surprising, just because Tennessee, as bad as Dallas has been on the road, Tennessee's pretty much in the same spot. They're not a very good road team. 1-3 away. If you look at overall, it's not a really good measure. The points, though, points for and against, they're actually a -21, whereas Dallas is a +17. So I think it is clear that Dallas is a superior team. Take a look at this number now. Generally, you take into account that home field in the NFL is worth roughly 3 points. So on a neutral field, Dallas would be favored by 3 or 2.5 or 3. Now, I think that's pretty much an accurate number.
Sure. So the Cowboys are 6.5-point favorites. Fairly low over and under, about 41 points or so there. Now, thinking about the NFC East, Cowboys 2 games back in the NFC East. Take a look at the odds to win. The Redskins +125. The Eagles next up at +160. Cowboys only +300, so very kind of top heavy there. And then of course the Giants +15,000 if they turned around and won the odds. A lot of money to be made there. Highly unlikely. So what do you look at from the perspective of a sports book? Why you're pricing the Cowboys at basically 3-1 to win the division?
If you're looking at the teams who are out there, it's like everyone's. You can look at them all and say, there's something wrong with kind of everyone out there right now. And you're looking at Washington being at 5-2. I mean, the big thing for them is their conference record. I mean, they're 5-1 in the conference. You look at Dallas is 2-3 in the conference. And, Washington, you just look it up and down the line. They just don't really impress that much. Philadelphia, you figure, should be better, but they've had so many injuries and stuff like that, and Wentz just doesn't look as good as he used to. He still seems a little bit tentative, I think. So I think Dallas is actually some pretty decent value right now. Looking at this game coming up Monday night, I'm talking about the game with Tennessee. I was going to touch on the fact that Dallas coming off a bye, which is usually like a real one of those spots that sharps look for in terms of finding value. They look for teams coming off the bye that are well rested, but that's getting offset by the fact that the Titans had a bye last as well. So that's kind of a funny spot. Dallas is a decent favorite here, 6 points at home. So you figure that get that win. They're sitting there 4-4, and half a season to go. So they're definitely not out of it at all. And I don't think Washington's a very strong favorite at all. I think the Eagles are again, they just seem tentative all around. So there's still a lot to choose, I think, between these teams in terms of the division.
Sure. So thinking about the NFC as a whole, who is going to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl this year. NFC rival, the Philadelphia Eagles, won the Super Bowl, very surprising, at least to me from that perspective. So talk about the NFC as a whole. Who is favored to get into the Super Bowl and where the Cowboys play into that? Right now, Rams are fairly even money, plus 125, and the Saints are right behind them, plus 275. Vikings at 10-1, and the Eagles plus 1,200, 12-1 odds. Kind of your top four. The Cowboys are way back in the pack, and we'll get to them here on screen in a moment. They're plus 4,200, Brent. So how do you guys price the NFC right now as a whole, and then from there, the Cowboys in particular?
At the Cowboys, I think, the division is one of those places where you look at first in terms of who's got a shot of winning that division. So where Dallas is in terms of being like the third choice within their own division makes it kind of relative in terms of what their odds are to win the conference as well. The big kind of asterisk, I think, with Dallas is they've got, 2 games against Philadelphia still, and they've got Washington at home, so they're in a decent spot. I mean, if they could split out with Philadelphia, they could win the game with Washington. They're right in the thick of things as well. They do end the season with what I'm going to call a bit of a favorable schedule at the Colts, Tampa Bay, and at the Giants. Now, 2 of 3 on the road is not good for them, but it's not a bad spot for them to be in terms of closing out the season. They could easily go on a 4-win run with the Eagles at home, being the game before that 3-game run. So they're kind of one of those teams where you kind of have to be a little bit apprehensive with, because the division is so close, and if you get the division win, I mean, everything starts from scratch. In terms of the NFC Championship, yeah, I mean, the Rams too. It's as much these futures, as we look in terms of what are the odds to actually win, that's kind of what our starting numbers are, and after that is the better as go with things. So when you're looking at the Rams right now, yeah, I mean, they've got a very impressive record. Are they unbeatable? I don't think they're unbeatable at all. The thing is, people love offense, and the Rams score a whole lot of points, so they're getting a whole lot of action. So you're getting a lot of bets on the Rams. The result, the Saints, the same situation. You get a whole lot of, I think Bruins' defense is underrated. I think their coach is underrated, but they're generally perceived as a high-scoring team. People like them as well, and they're getting a lot of action as well. So the reason why those 2 favorites are such low favorites are basically the fact that the public likes betting high-scoring teams, and they're getting a whole lot of money. We don't really take positions in terms of, we think this team is the better team, or this team's the better team, or whatever. We basically throw up a number that we think will work in terms of getting, kind of divided action on all teams, and kind of go from there and adjust according to the public betting. So the public is very heavy on the Rams and the Saints. Green Bay always gets a whole lot of love from the bettors, and it kind of takes a big step back from there. Minnesota's probably the best defensive team among those rankings. I think get teams like Carolina, Washington, Harrison, stuff like that, you kind of group together. Chicago definitely looks good at times, but they don't, look not so good at all at other times. So the Giants, Cardinals, kind of picking up the want to call it. So not a whole lot of value, I don't think, at the back end. But the top heavy teams are basically just the way the public is betting so far. Dallas, like I said, it seems some value on them in particular, just because the way they close out their schedule and the games they have within their division still remaining.
My name is James Yoder here for the Cowboys Report. Thanks a lot to Tom Downey for letting me come in, talk to Brent Korobotic from BetDSI. He heads up risk management, and you can get hooked up with BetDSI. chatsports.com/bet. If you're betting on football, which makes the game so much more fun, and you want to put a little money on the Cowboys, 6-point favorites, Monday Night Football, end your football weekend on a high note with the Cowboys maybe covering. chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Cowboys120, 120% deposit bonus. You put in 100, you got 120 to play with in the BetDSI Sportsbook and Casino. So go check them out today. They are the only place we make our bets here at Chat Sports. Brent, want to take a look at the sharps picks in the NFL this weekend. We've got the Steelers getting 3 points, the Jets and Dolphins under 45, the Broncos giving up 1 point, they're a 1-point favorite, and the Chargers are 2-point underdogs. Of note of these games, we talked about the Steelers and the Ravens. Steelers are 3-point underdogs. Why is that game getting so much sharp action? What stands out for you there?
Yeah, it's one of the key matchups of the week. Obviously, that division, similar to the Cowboys division we talked about previously. You've got Baltimore at 4-4, Cincinnati 5-3, and Pittsburgh 4-2-1 now. So those three teams, I mean, you pretty much take those teams, and whoever's the home team, you could pretty much make a 2.5, 3-point favorite, and that number you'll be able to run with all week long. That's the case here as well with Baltimore and Pittsburgh. That line did open -3. I got sharp money on Pittsburgh +3, so I have sharp money on this game. Pittsburgh +3 is for that game. Line's down to 2.5 right now. You always seem to have no trouble getting Steelers money, Patriots money, Saints money. Other teams people bet all the time. This situation is the same, and I do have public money on Pittsburgh as well. So public and sharp money, both on Pittsburgh +3. And if you look at Pittsburgh, I mean, I think Baltimore's defense has got a whole lot of credit in terms of their performance so far this year. You dig deeper into the numbers, and Pittsburgh's probably as good as Baltimore defensively, and I think, probably wouldn't argue that they probably have a better offense, but more balanced. But these two teams match up very similar. So the number 2.5, 3 seem to work balancing, and I think it will all week long. Jets and Miami under 45. Miami's getting some credit in terms of their defense, and again, the Jets, whenever the Jets play a decent defense, they seem to fold up. So that could be part of that there. Denver at Houston. That's one where I've got a lot of bets on Houston and sharper money on Dallas. So that's one of those sharp splits that we talked about, James. I think Houston's defense is kind of, if you look at who they've faced offensively, they've faced some pretty decent or pretty easy offenses. But I think the Houston defense might be a little bit overrated. You look at Denver, they've had one of the toughest schedules, and Houston's ability or inability, I guess, to protect Watson is one of those concerns. So Denver -1 is where the sharp money came. I'm actually still -1 just because the wager is so heavy favoring Houston. It's almost 4-1, as I mentioned, favoring the Texans. I think the right number here is around 2.5 or $3.15, $3.20. So I'm anxious to see if that line goes up during the week. I think Denver should be a higher favorite. The Chargers are another sharp play here. Chargers +2 on the road at Seattle. And I think Seattle just kind of comes across as one of those favorites right now. Their offensive line, they've had problems, it seems, going back like a couple of years now. And the Chargers just generally get a lack of respect on the market. So I think the Chargers are some value there, and I've got sharp money on them. +2, line's down to 1 right now. Seattle, the favorite. My weight count's almost dead even, but I think that Pittsburgh game is going to be interesting in terms of the line being able to stay where it is. And I think I'm going to get real heavy action, two-way action at that.
His name is Brent Korobotic from BetDSI. He heads up risk management. You saw the 4 games that the Sharps, the pro bettors, are putting their money on today. This weekend, Cowboys 6-point favorites on Monday Night Football. Get in the action with Brent and I at BetDSI. Chatsports.com/bet will drop you right over to BetDSI. Get a 120% deposit bonus. Use that promo code Cowboys120 to get hooked up with them. 120% deposit bonus. That is all today for the Cowboys Report. We will see you later in the week.